Welcome, everybody. Today we have a very special guest.
I knew early on that I wanted to make movies.
It's such a difficult industry because there's a lot of luck involved.
I mean, look at American Werewolf in London, look at The Thing, look at The Fly. Look at these films that have really withstood the test of time.
I sculpted this Captain Kirk mask, and they didn't sell particularly well, but then John Carpenter came in, said, can you paint one white and spray paint his hair black?
I was maybe 9 or 10 years old, and it scared the living shit out of me.
You're just racking up these people that you grew up watching. They're in your films. Is that surreal?
There were 35 directors there. If there had been a bomb dropped on that restaurant, never another good horror movie.
Benet's Bloody Bits.
Welcome to Triple B. My name is Jason Benet, Scream Queen or Scream Queens. There's only three. Brink Stevens, Michelle Bauer, Linnea Quigley. All three broke into the industry around the same time, have been doing it for decades, continue to work today. They've always been great with their fans. They've been open. You know, you see them at a convention, they're totally approachable. They've never snubbed, oh, I wish I didn't do these films. They're beneath me. I always wanted to be an A-list star. That is totally appreciated by me and fans, and I think that's why they're so endearing. You might be thinking, well, wait, Scream Queens, what about Fay Wray? What about Jamie Lee Curtis or Jennifer Love Hewitt or Neve Campbell? It's like, well, they're really not, fans of the genre. They're very much distant when you see them in interviews, and they kind of want to put it behind them, yet it still puts money in their bank account, so they can never really let it go. But those three women have been doing it for decades. They're probably going on 50 years, and they still are in films now. But I want to key on one of the three Scream Queens in particular, Miss Michelle Bauer. She's one that had a different trajectory than the other ladies. They're all known for doing, Playboy videos or magazine shoots, but Michelle Bauer went underneath the pseudonym Pia Snow and did a number of adult films, bondage films back in the 80s. And the most infamous of all of them just got a 4K Blu-ray release from Mondo Macabro, Café Flesh. Let's just start off with the slipcover and dig deeper. Michelle Bauer is the star of this film. She's in it. The story revolves around her. Basically, there's a nuclear fallout, and everybody's either sex positives, which means, it's 1% of the population that can actually have sex. The other 99% sex negatives. It makes them violently ill to engage in, having fun and fooling around. So the negatives go to Café Flesh to watch the positives and, different tableaus on stage and having a good time. Why is Michelle Bauer absent from the slipcover? This is a very beautiful girl that's in the film. I'm not disappointed that she's on it, but no Michelle Bauer to be seen on this slipcover. Now, I don't know who's in charge at Mondo Macabro with slipcovers. I can't imagine it being an issue where you couldn't put Michelle Bauer in there because of some legal reasons. I could be wrong, but I highly doubt it. So, missed opportunity to not put Michelle Bauer, the star of the movie, the most famous person in here, probably other than adult film star Kevin James, who's also in it. But yeah, the original artwork is also here. And, Michelle Bauer wasn't put on that. But what's interesting about these films that Michelle did underneath the name Pia Snow is her husband at the time, I guess he had a strict rule. You can do girl on girl, but no guys, no penetration from a guy. So in this film, she's a sex negative. She's not able to, feel sexual, joy. But eventually something changes in her body and she starts, missing it and wanting it. And by the end of the film, she ends up, having a scene. She starts off, it's girl on girl, and it's her. There's no doubt in the audio commentary, the director validates that, but the actual intercourse is inserts. So the husband was okay with her doing girl, but not being with the guy. She probably didn't have a problem with it, but it was, he was very restrictive on her. I think she was very young, very open. This is a pre-breast augmentation Michelle Bauer, so years before that was done. And it's kind of a bummer that she wasn't allowed to do it. I think she was at the age of where she was experimenting, or maybe she was bi-curious, or maybe she was really bisexual. That's not to be known. There's no interview with Michelle on this. I'm sure she was approached, and I'm sure she declined. It's not something she's proud of. I do have an unnamed friend that did get a poster signed by her at a convention, and she was okay with it, but he said you could see she was a little bit hesitant. But this was Mondo Macabro, Café Flesh. The picture has never been better. I years ago saw bootlegs of it. It's been online forever. It's never looked particularly good. I mean, really grainy, and it was just a different time, shot in Los Angeles in the early 80s. And what's interesting is there were theaters that would show movies, like Pussycat Theaters. You could play pornographic films, but you couldn't shoot them. So if you notice, the director and a lot of different people in the cast, if you're watching the credits, they use different names. Like the director's name is Rince Dream. So he's just kind of like, trying to protect himself from, getting arrested or whatever. But it's a really good film. Michelle Bauer's acting, it's probably better here than a lot of the, the B movies that she's known for. You get to see quite a bit of her, especially toward the middle of the film. She kind of has a self-gratifying scene, and then in the last main scene of the film, she's in it. And yeah, so Café Flesh 4K Blu-ray combo pack from Mondo Macabro. Also, the same makers of Café Flesh did a film called Nightdreams. Now, this is one of those things where you have to realize not everything you read on the internet is correct. Reportedly, Michelle Bauer, Pia Snow is credited. There's a scene in hell where there's a woman chained to a wall, and it's supposed to be Michelle Bauer, and it's not. I took a screen grab so you can see it. Very lovely looking woman. Looks more like Anna Ventura, but I'm not sure who it is, but it's not Michelle Bauer. She did do another film. It was actually before Café Flesh, called Bad Girls. She's in it. Her and some girlfriends are doing some camping out in the woods. They run afoul of, different people, Ron Jeremy being one of them. The girls have fun with each other. Then they, bump into these other people that Ron Jeremy's a part of. It's a bunch of guys and girls, and they're just, kind of like sex slaves and having fun and just, living a hedonistic lifestyle. And Michelle's character, she has 3 scenes. There is a guy scene with her, but it's her husband at the time. The guy that's set the rules. So it's not the best scene in the world. I don't know if he was suffering from erectile dysfunction or got scared to be in front of the camera, but it's not the hottest scene in the world. So there's a scene with him. He's actually the leader in the film. But she has 2 separate scenes with 2 different girls. And I don't think, back then with these adult films, it was different. It's almost like, yeah, they're acting, but it seemed like they enjoyed it. And you can see from Michelle Bauer, she liked this. So this was something I think she was totally into and dug. So Bad Girls, I believe it's had a DVD release. I'm not sure where you're going to find that on Blu-ray. Hopefully Vinegar Syndrome or one of these other, boutique labels that releases, Quality X that releases adult cinema will put it out. But yeah, it's interesting to see Bauer with these kind of golden, age of porn stars, Kevin James, Ron Jeremy, that whole era, in the early to mid 80s, and how big those people were. So yeah, Michelle Bauer, Café Flesh, Nightdreams, she's not in it. I wish she was. It's actually a really good film. Bad Girls, 3 different scenes, one with the guy, 2 separate scenes with girls. And she continued to do like bondage films, which are very hard to come by. In the latter half of the 80s, she still did the films, but she was more like watching, like kind of a voyeur, a spectator, kind of on the sidelines watching other people do it. So I don't think she was totally against the industry. I know she's older now. She's married and moved on, and perhaps she doesn't look back on these with the best memories. And it's okay to get older and to mature and kind of possibly regret certain things. But at the same time, some of her best acting was done in these films. So, the golden age of adult cinema, this is when movies were going to theaters. You don't, with the advent of cell phones and internet, the sky's the limit. But back then you had to remember you basically had very few options. It was, go buy Hustler or Playboy or Penthouse from a newsstand or whatever, or, go to a adult cinema plex and watch the films. And of course, eventually with VHS, the porn industry blew up. But yeah, just got this in Café Flesh. Wish you were on here, Michelle, but it is a really good film. Good extra features. The director is very well spoken. He has an interview where, for an hour, he talks about the film, and he does mention Michelle Bauer and even Richard Belzer. You guys remember him? He shows up in Café Flesh. But yeah, I mean, have you guys heard of these films? Were you aware of, Michelle Bauer, being Pia Snow? I know eventually too, she would go on to do on the Playboy channel. Alan Funt did, there was Candid Camera back in the old days, and he did something called Candid Camera, which took advantage of, people willing to take their clothes off and have fun. Michelle Bauer did an episode. I also saw Brink Stevens on there, saw adult film star Crystal Breeze. So it's just a different era. The 80s for me, movies, regardless of genre, the music, the television show are unmatched. So I love these time capsule videos. Café Flesh, finally available. Maybe Nightdreams will eventually come out. I think there's some issues with elements and the picture quality and all that. But yeah, I'm all for, buying vintage retro adult films, probably 70s through early 90s. That seems to be the peak of that time. But thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon, and let me know if you guys are, bought Café Flesh and what did you think of the film, and talk to you soon.